Hey guys, what's going on? Steven back again, and I'm back with another 40k video from Major Kill. And the topic for today's video is the Horus Heresy ending explained. So that's pretty straightforward. So yeah, let's just jump right into the video. Here we go.
G'day guys and gal. After almost 20 years of storytelling, over 60 full-length novels...
20 years. How crazy is that? 20 years. Jeez. Where were you 20 years ago when the Horus Heresy started? I was in high school. Anyways, back to the video.
And an obscene amount of extremely dope-ass lore, the Horus Heresy has finally come to a close, with the End and Death Volume 3 just being released a few days ago. Now personally, I am not up to the End and Death yet. I'm only up to like book 40, and while awesome, the Horus Heresy is a long-ass series. Because of that, as a bit of an unfortunate side effect of 40k lore being my job, I have to constantly spoil everything for myself.
Oh, that sucks.
But it is what it is.
Yeah,
and so I have
totally
read many
sucks.
synopsises, watched many videos, and have spoken to many people who have finished the series to gain a complete understanding of the Horus Heresy and its ending. With only 18% of you guys and gals reading over a dozen Warhammer books, it seems like most of you will also never reach the end of the Heresy either, so you would probably be keen to know how it ended. Not just from the perspective of the last book, but the key points from the end of the series as well as what happens to each of the Primarchs and the Emperor, as well as a few other key characters in the end. So with that said, today we'll go over the ending of the Horus Heresy, detailing the fate of all the main characters, the key events that occurred, as well as how the fight between Horus and the Emperor went. In doing so, we'll also look at how close to the original lore the new lore is.
Yeah, I'm very curious, how did that battle go? I heard it was like a very brutal fight, but I don't know if that was someone's fan fiction.
Although to be fair, it is extremely common knowledge that Horus kills Sanguinius and then the Emperor kills Horus after getting mortally wounded, so that's not really that spoilery.
The iconic picture.
Let's get into it.
Probably one of the most iconic pictures
I'm obviously not going
in
to
40k.
recap the entire Heresy, with many books not being that important towards the ending, so I'll just set the scene. After years of brutal, hectic fighting, epic victories, and crushing defeats on both sides, the Siege of Terra kicks off. Horus, Perturabo, Mortarion, Angron, Magnus, Fulgrim, and their respective legions, along with a few thousand wordbearers and Night Lords, are sieging Terra.
So just about
Conrad
everybody.
is fucked off to go do his own thing, and Lorgar is in exile after Horus beat the shit out of him for attempting to usurp him as War Master. Alpharius was killed by Dawn after attempting to metaphorically play chess with a rampaging bull,
I didn't know that.
which led Megan to also withdraw the Alpha Legion from the siege, although they do pop up. To defend Terra, we have the Emperor, who is stuck on the Golden Throne, battling Horus's psychic might, the Chaos Gods, and the Warp Rift underneath the palace simultaneously, thus his attention is pretty firmly stuck. Rogel leads the defenses, with Sanguinius and Jagadai making it back to Terra with their legions. Vulcan is also present after getting through the webway and works with the Emperor to create the Talisman of Seven Hammers, a device that would destroy Terra and the entire Chaos army in one mega death explosion as a final fuck you if Horus was to win. Gillian, Russ, and the Lion are rushing to Terra with their massive legions, which if they were to arrive in time, would catch the traitors in a hammer and anvil, especially with how depleted the traitors were. Corvus was off doing his own thing, and Ferris was dead. The siege
so Ultramarines and Dark Angels were way out of the way.
Force crashes with Dawn's immovable object. The traitors are basically aiming to make Terra corrupted enough to allow demons to manifest on its surface. Thus Angron, Mortarion, and Magnus would be able to join the battle directly. Horus remains on board his ship for the siege and is grappling with his own insanity and the weight of his choices. A surprising reveal is that Horus isn't just this possessed meat suit for the Chaos Gods. He is still very much himself and has his own free will. See, when the Chaos Gods create a champion of Chaos Undivided, they can't actually do much to properly control them, as all the Chaos Gods have to agree perfectly, which never really happens. Hence, champions of Undivided
that makes
are
sense.
given a shitload of free will and to use the power given as they see fit. Now, with the Siege of Terra being its own mini-series,
that makes sense, as instead of being devoted to one specific god.
So to make it easy and to keep this video under 100 hours long, whilst also giving you something to look forward to if you ever do read it, I'll just focus on the key characters and what happens to each Primarch. Magnus is hellbent on attacking the Emperor directly by wearing down his psychic warding and energy. so he enters the webway and begins trying to tear the rent open, which would doom Terra. Vulcan is sent to stop him, and the brothers engage in a ridiculously one-sided duel as Magnus kills him time and time again with the most obscene use of warp sorcery ever seen. Vulcan dies countless horrific deaths, however he regenerates extremely rapidly due to his enhanced perpetual powers. Eventually he is able to get close enough to Magnus to beat his demon brother to death and banish him. See, Magnus believed that he'd created a spell powerful enough to kill perpetuals, and maybe it could kill other ones, but this is motherfucking Vulcan, Lord of Drakes and Stomper of Nerds. Even as Vulcan is unmade and turned into a black skeleton, he pushes through the mega attack and banishes Magnus screaming back to hell. Perturabo was increasingly disgusted by his allied forces, their complete lack of strategic coordination, their obscene debaucheries and heresies, and also their total lack of respect. Despite the fact that he was the only one holding the siege together and actually allowing the traitors to make ground, they still treated him like shit. So he simply said, fine, do it your fucking self, and he left the siege along with his legion. However, by the time he left, so much damage had been done that Perturabo was no longer essential for winning the siege, as so much chaos corruption had seeped into Terra that conventional tactics no longer apply.
Go ahead and leave, we don't need you.
Faced off against Nathaniel Garro, his wayward son, in an epic duel. Garro was juiced up on holy faith and did a pretty bloody good job. However, Mortarion was a Primarch and he killed Garro, but not before Garro gave him a cut he wouldn't forget. To avenge Garro, Jagadai Khan was next to fight Mortarion. Morty was way too strong though, so Jagadai settled for a mutual kill. Morty was banished and Jagadai was put into a death-like coma. Angron was tearing a bloody sway through the defenders and eventually took on Sanguinius himself. Both angels were red on that day. Both had forever carved the name into the psyche of their enemy for all time.
That picture's so cool.
They began beating the shit out of each other. However, Angron was pretty much unkillable. As they fought, Horus was psychically shouting / begging in Angron's head to kill Sanguinius, and despite impaling the angel on his blade, Sanguinius was then able to rip Angron's nails out of his head, giving his brother one moment of horrified lucidity at what he had become before he was banished. There's a bit of a side plot here. Khan and Sigismund
would be insane.
Duel. Ascended Master of Death Sigismund versus fully
ripping out the nails.
Khan. It was an epic fight, but Sigismund was on an entire league of his own and brutally massacred Khan with a kill that wouldn't be out of place in Mortal Kombat. Fulgrim's fate was pretty satisfying. During one of the many big traitor pushes, Fulgrim led his Emperor's children against the Saturnine wall, whilst Abaddon and his elite Justarian teleported under the wall to attack from below. However, it was a trap by Rogul, which resulted in Abaddon's entire company getting slaughtered by the absolute elites of the defenders, guys like Nathaniel Garro. Despite Abaddon putting up a good effort, he was the last alive and was on the brink of death, until Plot Armor swooped in and teleported him to safety in the last second. It was actually a pretty nice scene, one that actually made me like Abaddon a bit. He basically sits there in shock and wishes he died along with his men, horrified at being the only survivor, the coward. On the surface, Fulgrim is tearing his way through the defenders, and then motherfucking Sigismund charges in and starts beating the shit out of Fulgrim. Fulgrim eventually gains the upper hand, but by then Rogul Dawn himself enters the fight. Rogul beats the shit out of Fulgrim, outclassing him and actually landing a killing blow, but Fulgrim regenerates due to his demonic power. Getting humiliated by Rogul and seeing that the attack on the Saturnine Gate had failed, Fulgrim withdrew his legion to instead focus on terrorizing and massacring civilians of Terra.
That would be interesting.
He would then later retreat with his legion to be the only demon Primarch who didn't get banished during the siege. Now you might think that this puts the Loyalists at the advantage. Only Horus remained in play, with Rogul, the Emperor, Valdor, Vulcan and Sanguinius being up and running. However, Terra was literally getting dragged into hell, and there were so many demons and Chaos Marines still active that unless Horus was
the attack was still continuing.
Lost. For Horus, he knows that Guilliman is very, very close to arriving, like he will arrive before Terra is lost. So Horus follows the shields of the Vengeful Spirit to try bait the Emperor to attack him directly, thinking that if he is able to beat the Emperor into submission or kill him, Guilliman will bend the knee and join him. Then we get one of the saddest scenes in all of Warhammer lore. The Emperor and Malcador know that it's time for Malcador to take the Biggie's place on the Golden Throne, allowing the Emperor to fight Horus at the expense of Malcador's very soul getting consumed and obliterated by the throne. I guarantee you will tear up reading this scene, like even the Emperor is devastated and it shows, probably his most human moment. Then our merry band of heroes alongside a bunch of Custodians and Space Marines teleport onto the Vengeful Spirit, other than Vulcan who stays behind in case he needs to activate the talisman. But let's just say the teleportation didn't go so well. Sanguinius and his warriors arrive on the ship normally and proceed to head to Horus. Rogul Dawn gets teleported into a pocket dimension controlled by Khorne. it manifests as a desert full of the dead bodies of thousands of Imperial fists.
So what happened with the teleport?
Khorne traps Dawn in there for centuries in the attempt to corrupt him to chaos. The Emperor arrives on another weird pocket dimension, Bridge 8, on a ship with only 6 bridges. Then half of his custodies get puppeted by the Chaos Gods and attack the Emperor, forcing him to kill many of his own beloved warriors. Something else has started happening as well. With all the warp energy and power, the Emperor is getting like really strong. Like easily strong enough to body Horus. However, he is also becoming a thing called the Dark King, the Chaos God of Ruin, which would be a very bad thing for humanity. As a bit of a side plot, John Grammaticus, Alanis Persson, and a few other misfits are travelling alongside with the first captain of the Alpha Legion to try get into the throne room and reach the Emperor. With it being revealed that originally the Alpha Legion were waiting to see who would win and then join that side, however with Chaos
of course the Alpha Legion would,
they've decided to throw in their lot with the Emperor and try to save humanity. Also, the Dark Angel Corswain alongside a bunch of fallen angels are attempting to reignite the Astronomicon, which would banish a lot of the corruption and allow Guilliman and his brothers to get to Terra really quickly. Oh yeah, and Garviel Loken, the OG protagonist of the entire setting, gets on board the Vengeful Spirit as well. As the Emperor is preparing to ascend, after all the Dark King would be a very effective weapon against Horus, Alanis finally catches up to him. Alanis is the Emperor's oldest friend, even older in age than he.
What's the story about that?
The thing about Ol is that he was and forever is a man of integrity, which is why he abandoned the Emperor thousands of years ago. He tells the Emperor that joining Chaos isn't the solution, that he needs to let go of it. The Emperor looks at Ol, he thinks of his Primarch sons, and he decides to let go, ripping the Dark King from himself while also tearing out his mercy and compassion to give himself the best chance of killing Horus. The banishment of the Dark King heals many of his warriors whilst also breaking Rogel Dawn out of the Khornite pocket dimension. While this is happening, Sanguinius reaches Horus first and confronts his brother. And yes, Horus does give him the "join me, brother," and even
and then the famous fight ensues.
Form as they fight to try help convince Sanguinius. See, Horus had actually suppressed a lot of his own consciousness and free will during the Heresy to make his moves unpredictable, but now he is reclaiming his true self. Because of that, he actually doesn't want to just kill everyone. In truth, he actually wants to create his new Mournival, but with the Emperor, Valdor, Sanguinius, Dawn, and his other brothers by his side. As they fight, Sanguinius actually gains the upper hand, as in their Primarch forms, he is the superior warrior. However, eventually Horus snaps, just as Sanguinius is about to land the killing blow. Horus Ascendant is a monster. The brothers charge at each other one final time, with Horus beating Sanguinius before proceeding to bludgeon him like a disobedient dog. Sanguinius is broken, his face hangs loose, his legs are snapped, and his lungs are full of blood. He can't even choke out his last words as Horus picks him up and snaps his neck and spine, killing the glorious Golden Hawkborn. Demons then skitter out of the shadows to string up Sanguinius.
I kind of like to see that play out on
as Horus then waits for the Emperor.
In a movie.
In the meantime, Valdor encounters Abaddon and engages him in combat. The death of Sanguinius triggers the Black Rage in his sons, who all go on a monstrous rampage that scares even the demons. They massacre a fuckload of traders, however in their rage they also
scare
kill their
demons.
allies and even custodies. They're
impressive.
so juiced up that each Blood Angel is now a juggernaut in their own right, kind of like the Imperial Gal Vorbak but even stronger. The Emperor alongside his buddies like Alanis reach Horus, with Horus being surprised that the Emperor shows no emotion at the sight of Sanguinius' corpse. The Emperor starts speaking at Horus but not to him, instead speaking directly to the Chaos Gods, which confuses Horus. Loken also steps forward and speaks, which causes Horus to get emotional and ashamed. Like he just wants to hug Loken and be done with all this bullshit. But then his rage, pride and corruption kicks in and he gets frustrated that he is showing weakness at his time of glory, so he attacks
here we have
Emperor.
the famous
picture. In the
picture.
meantime, Valdor and Abaddon fight, with Valdor being shocked at Abaddon's power. When he scores a hit on Abaddon, he gets a vision of the next 10,000 years of grimdark horror, with Abaddon as the new War Master. This genuinely stuns Valdor with overwhelming despair as he now fights to survive. Then the rabid Blood Angels arrive and begin attacking everyone, giving Dawn and Valdor the opening they need to charge towards Horus and the Emperor's battle. The battle isn't going super well for the Emperor. They fight on countless planes of existence, even beyond physical and spiritual, but Horus is just straight up more powerful at this point.
Right, because the Emperor didn't want to, like,
sneaky bitch. He
kill his son.
Most cheeky fuck tactics to keep in the fight, including stealing some of Horus's power, distracting Horus with illusions to give himself time to recover, fucking with Horus's emotions, and so on. But it's still not enough. But then something incredible happens. Inspired by the words of Cyrene, who psychically broadcasts the words, The Emperor must live. Across all of Terra, the cult of the Emperor is formed as countless people form together and begin chanting words from the Lectitio Divinitatis.
Cult
Their
of the
faith
Emperor?
in the Emperor being absolute. It's so absolute that it begins cleansing parts of Terra and weakens Chaos's grip. It also powers up the Emperor and allows him to continue his absolute slogfest with Horus, while also reigniting the Astronomicon. However, Horus is still winning. Then in quite an emotional scene, Alanis goes to the Emperor and is yelling at him to get up. He promises the Emperor he will never leave his side again, but he has to get up and he has to fight. He gives the Emperor the Athame, a special knife that can kill even Horus. Alanis then turns to Horus, opening fire with a fully automatic lasgun before yelling, "Fuck yeah, you bold piece of shit! Not a single step closer!" Horus finds the scene quite confusing before then hitting Alanis so hard that he is turned into a red mist, killing him so hard that not even his perpetual powers allow him to regenerate. However, this gives the Emperor time for his final gambit. He changes his form into Loken to manipulate Horus into giving up his power now that he has won. Horus does so, and then the Emperor then rushes him before they begin pulverizing each other again. This time though, the Emperor gets the upper hand, so Chaos begins trying to flood Horus with power again. But Horus is sick of it, and he tries to keep the power out. He wants to die, and he asks his father to kill him, so that he may die as Horus, not as a puppet of Chaos. Everything he's experienced during this fight with the Emperor has really changed
okay,
him.
so that makes
the Emperor
sense.
tells him that he forgives him, before driving his knife into Horus's heart and killing him. The arch-traitor dying with a smile on his face, breaking Chaos in the process. The Emperor then collapses. Dawn arrives and picks up the Emperor's broken, barely alive body before they all then teleport back to Terra, which is quickly being cleansed of corruption as the traitor forces retreat en masse. Loken stays behind and sits by his father's corpse, with even Abaddon telling him that he is allowed to freely leave. But then Erebus kills Loken, cause fuck Erebus, that fucking rat. So overall, a pretty solid ending. There is obviously way more that happens, with many more side characters and subplots, but this is the main meat of it. Overall, I'm happy. It does a great job of following the original lore while also adding more flavour. Like with the Alanis vs Horus scene, it also actually slips in some references to future stories, including some of the Eisenhorn books. With the Heresy now wrapped up, it seems logical that we will start getting some books about the Scouring, the epic campaign waged after the Heresy, where the Loyalists retake the galaxy and drive the traitors into the Eye of Terror. Either way, what a fucking
would be pretty cool to see too.
That was epic. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then subscribe.
That was very cool.
600k, and I need every hand on deck for that. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Okay, so there is the ending of the Horus Heresy. That is insane. I would love to see that play out in like a movie or a TV show. I mean, obviously, you know, they probably wouldn't do, you know, I know they're working on shows and movies and stuff like that, but I don't think they do anything like this. One, it'd be way too long, and two, as cool as it would be, it'd just be battle after battle after battle after battle. You know, what would the storyline, you know, what would the, I mean, yes, there is a story, but it's all battles, you know, and obviously, you know, in a TV show and a movie, there's only so much, you know, budget you could do. You couldn't do a battle every single episode. That would be way too much, you know. They maybe do something, one big battle, like, I don't know, in the 9th episode, the 10th episode or something like that, but they couldn't do, you know, one every single episode. They would have to do story, you know, throughout the thing. But that's still, it'd be so cool to see, and I'd love to see, you know, Horus versus Sanguinius fight and stuff like that. As bloody as that sounds, you know, what, like half his face was like falling off, and broken ribs and crushed lungs and everything like that. It would be, and then of course seeing the Emperor versus Horus and stuff like that would just be so cool to see. And then just seeing, you know, just the whole battle overall, seeing all the Primarchs just fighting against each other, seeing this huge massive siege would just be awesome to see, you know. It's wishful thinking, you know. But yeah, that was definitely one hell of an ending, you know, seeing all the different Primarchs and stuff like that fighting against each other, seeing, you know, all the traitors getting banished and stuff like that, except for Fulgrim, sneaky. This picture actually looks really cool. Look how terrifying Mortarion looks. Like, that looks... Ugh. Although that kind of looks like snot coming out of his nose, so that's kind of gross. But still, you know, man. Everything that happened. Oh, yeah. And Sanguinius versus Angron and stuff like that. And when he, ripped out the nails out of his head for like a brief second.
Began beating the shit out of each other. However, Angron was pretty much unkillable. As they fought, Horus was psychically shouting / begging in Angron's head to kill Sanguinius, and despite impaling the angel on his blade, Sanguinius was then able to rip Angron's nails out of his head, giving his brother one moment of horrified lucidity at what he had become before he...
Oh, can you just imagine... Man, can you just imagine that, having the nails just ripped out of your head, and then all of a sudden, for like, I don't know, what do they say, like a brief second, this is what you've become, this is what you've done, like, oh my god, I've become this, and this is what I've done, and stuff like that. That must be, that must have been something very terrifying for Angron, just to be like, this is you. This is the real you. You're a demon, and look at what you've caused. You know, oh man, that would be interesting. Yeah, Dorn versus Fulgrim. That's an interesting fight. Kind of interesting that you know, Dorn got the upper hand on Fulgrim. I still like Fulgrim. He looks like a pretty badass demon Primarch. You know, his model looks really cool. Not gonna lie. Yep, and then of course the teleportation, which was the Chaos God screwing with everything, which is why everybody kind of got teleported to basically somewhere else. You know, because they all tried to go on the Vengeful Spirit, but they all got sent to other locations. I gotta learn more about this whole Dark King. That, I don't know anything about that. I don't know what the Dark King is, but it sounds very interesting. I definitely have to try to find a video on that and learn about the Dark King. Yeah, and then of course the battle with Sanguinius and Horus. Man, a fight to see. That'd be very cool to see that fight. And of course the death of Sanguinius, leading to the, you know, the rage. How terrifying would that be, you know? Seeing Sanguinius die. All of a sudden the gene seed malfunctions. Now they get now all of a sudden Blood Angels have the Black Rage, and all of a sudden they just like snap, like on a whim. Oh, that'd be something interesting, you know. Apparently even terrifying enough to scare demons, which it's a demon. Demons shouldn't be afraid of anything, but they are. But yeah, that is one hell of an ending. And of course, the Ultramarines were coming, the Dark Angels were coming, because yeah, Horus tried to lure them as far away as possible to keep them, you know, out of the way, because apparently they both would be extremely dangerous, you know, especially with the Dark Angels being the first, you know, the first Legion and stuff like that. So they supposedly have all this old school weapons and technology and stuff like that, because they were the first ones. So of course, you know, they had to take out the Thunder Warriors. Yeah, the Thunder Warriors. But yeah, what an ending. After 20 years, the Horus Heresy has ended. Alright, so anyways, there we go. There is the Horus Heresy ending explained. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like the ending? Do you not like the ending? Do you think things should have played out a little differently? Yeah, just let me know. So anyways, other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. That'd be awesome. Remember, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media. Links in the description box below. And of course, leave me all your thoughts and comments. If you guys have any videos you want me to check out, leave a link down below in the comment section. Or you can join me over on Discord. Like I said, we can talk more 40k and stuff like that. Suggest videos for me to check out and watch. And yeah, just hang out. So anyways, other than that, just stick around. More videos are on the way, and I will see you guys next time.